These are going to be the 3 foods that you should cut out of your diet no matter what. Whether you're looking to lose less than 5 pounds or more than 100, you should cut these foods right out. First 2 are going to be very obvious. The last one are going to be a classification of foods that you may not have even heard of before, or you may not have even known that these foods can store body fat. And if you're not excluding all 3, you will be putting yourself in a position to store body fat. So if you're a man in your 40s or 50s, you're career driven, you want to see the number on the scale actually move and change, and you want a flat stomach, and you want to know which foods you should be taking out, then I would highly recommend you watch this video in full. So let's get right into it. First 2, processed carbohydrates and processed sugars. Yeah, I told you, the first 2 are going to be obvious. Everybody knows that chips, cookies, brownies, etc. are very, very bad for you. The reason why they're so bad for you is because they're man-made, they're processed, paragraph of ingredients, and they have a whole lot in the way of processed sugar, artificial sugar, dextrose, maltodextrin, etc. Man-made sugars that not only spike insulin through the roof, but keep it elevated for hours on end, meaning that your likelihood of storing body fat when eating these foods is very, very high, especially if you're looking to lose north of 30 to 40 pounds, especially more than 50 or 60. And the more weight that you are looking to lose, the more you should be prioritizing cutting down on these foods completely. So I had a client named Michael who had a larger weight loss goal. I told him, or he asked me actually, he said, well, can we include cheat meals? I said, yes, but for now we really should be dialed in on following this to the T at least 90 to 95% of the time each week until you lose your first 10 to 15 pounds, and then we can start including cheat meals here and there. He lost 13 pounds within his first 3 weeks. So now we're starting to include a little bit more in the way of cheat meals here and there, right? But until you get there, you should really be dialed in on the foods that are actually going to give you a good insulin response and not put you in a position to store body fat. That way you really regulate insulin. You get insulin to go down a little bit more so you can boost your metabolic rate and improve the symptoms that come with metabolic syndrome, which is really what you're dealing with here. If you're eating a lot of processed carbohydrates and sugars and you're looking to lose a whole lot in the way of weight, metabolic syndrome, really the symptoms that come with it are elevated blood glucose levels, in certain cases insulin resistance, elevated insulin levels, fatigue, brain fog, slow metabolism, etc. I'm sure if you're watching this video right now, you're a man in your 40s or 50s who's looking to lose a lot of belly fat, you are most likely experiencing at least a few of those symptoms. And in order to mitigate those symptoms as much as possible, you should take out those first 2 foods, even 100% of the time each week, at least for a short period of time until you lose your first 10 to 20 or even 30 pounds, and then you can start adding cheat meals here and there and time them correctly. Now, the last food or classification of foods that you should absolutely be avoiding at all costs are going to be seed oils. Canola oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, peanut oil, vegetable oils, these polyunsaturated fats, this omega-6 linoleic acid that is very, very inflammatory, can literally be instantaneously stored as body fat, especially if you cook this omega-6 linoleic acid, these polyunsaturated fats, at a high heat. And when you do, they oxidize, they get hydrogenated, skipping all the biochemistry, they turn into trans fats. And you don't need me to tell you that you should be avoiding trans fat. And quite frankly, whenever you're going out to fast food restaurants or even traditional restaurants that are serving healthy food and they're cooking with peanut oil, they're cooking with safflower oil or canola oil or any other vegetable oil, even at a low temperature, they have so much omega-6 linoleic acid that they will oxidize very quickly and turn into trans fat very quickly. And even if you're getting a healthy steak with asparagus on the side and it was cooked in seed oils, you're going to be eating some trans fat, for sure, 100%. And that's why guys that are traveling all the time can have a difficult time losing weight if they aren't asking their waiter or waitress to take the seed oils out of the pan or off of the grill that they're cooking with. And they don't, most of the time, really, they don't make an effort to actually not only just go that far, but to ask their waiter or waitress for food that's not going to be fattening at all, right? But you should definitely take that extra step to ask your waiter or waitress if the food that you're about to eat could be cooked in butter instead. Even if you have to pay an extra $2 or whatever it is that they decide to do, it's worth it, because that way, if you decide to go with a healthier option, you decide to eat some steak or asparagus on the side instead of some garbage that was on the menu, whatever else, you are at least going to get the full validation to know there is nothing in this meal that will be fattening. There will be nothing in this meal that could put me in a position to store body fat no matter what the caloric content looks like. And this was especially true for Hollis. I gave him meal options for many different restaurants while he was traveling, and he's going to be traveling throughout this entire summer. He's about to be in Germany, and we're already preparing, giving him meal options for all these different restaurants. And I've given him what's called his mini menu. That's what I like to call it in the health optimization program, where you have 5 meal options for each restaurant that you can look to that are going to give you a good insulin response. You just pick that and then you go with it and roll with it. And Hollis lost 8 pounds within his first 3 weeks. So obviously this works when you cut all these foods out, and he did, and so did Michael. So when you cut out processed carbohydrates, sugars, and seed oils, and you not only ask your waiter or waitress to see if you could possibly get your food cooked in butter instead, but you're also an ingredient detective to see if you can detect any of these seed oils and different ingredients lists of foods that you buy, then you're really going to be in a good position, right? And that's the last thing I forgot to mention. Being an ingredient detective is going to be very, very important in order for you to detect these seed oils, because it's found in peanut butter, protein powders, protein bars, and many other different foods that are made out to be healthy when they're really not, just because they have these seed oils that are fattening. So no matter how healthy the food looks, that's why I always tell all my clients that all lose a ridiculous amount of weight within their first month working with me, to turn the food over every single time and just look at the ingredients list. If it's 1 to 3 natural ingredients, great. Turn it back over, buy it. If it's a paragraph or you see something that you can't spell, something that has 7 syllables, especially if you see some seed oils, then put it back and get something else. So that's pretty much it for this video. Just went over the 3 foods that you should be avoiding at all costs. And if you want to learn about how you can not only exclude these foods no matter where you go, but include foods that are going to give you a good insulin response so you can lose weight every single time you eat, then I highly recommend for you to either 1, click the first link on the top of the video description to speak with me directly, so I can see if I can help you do just that if you are a career-driven man who's in your 40s or 50s looking to lose weight, not if you're some teenager who's just looking for free advice. Or number 2, you can click the second link right in the middle of the video description to speak with me on Instagram, and you can message me directly there if you have questions about the health optimization program. So other than that, that's it. Feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.